The wealthiest man in your town has never been on a magazine cover. You drive past his house every morning, unremarkable, quiet, no flashy cars in the driveway, no social media presence, no podcast interviews. Just a man in his late 50s, maybe 60s, who sits on the board of a company you've never heard of, collects quarterly distributions from 3 businesses he doesn't run, and has built more wealth in the last decade than you have in your entire working life. And here's what should keep you awake tonight. He started with $5,000, just like the amount sitting in your savings account right now, earning nothing, waiting for you to do something with it. But you won't. Because you've been told that building wealth means starting a business, quitting your job, risking everything, becoming an entrepreneur, the hustle, the grind, the 4 a.m. mornings, and the Instagram posts about CEO life. You've been told that the only path to real money is to be the man in the arena, bleeding, fighting, building something from nothing with your own 2 hands. But the truth is, the real wealth in every small town, in every mid-sized city, in every community across this country, is held by men who figured out something you haven't been told yet. They are not the business owners. They never were. They are the silent partners who funded them. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to become one of them. Without quitting your job, without managing employees, without learning how to run a restaurant, a construction company, or a medical practice. Just you, your capital, and a simple legal structure that turns $5,000 into a permanent slice of someone else's profits forever. This is the silent partner system. And if you're a man aged 35 to 54, feeling the walls close in on your salary, watching your best earning years tick past while your net worth barely moves, this might be the most important financial framework you ever learn. But first, I need you to understand why you've never heard this before. Let me take you back 15 years. You're sitting across from your father, or your uncle, or your wife's father, the man who represents the generation before you, and you ask him genuinely, how do I build real wealth? Not just a 401k, not just a paid-off house, real wealth, the kind that outlives me. What does he tell you? He tells you to work hard, to be loyal to your company, to max out your retirement accounts, to buy a house in a good school district, to avoid debt, to be patient, to trust the system. And maybe, if you're lucky, he mentions something vague about investing in businesses, but he has no specifics, no roadmap, no actual structure for how an ordinary man with a full-time job and a mortgage and kids in school could actually do that without gambling everything he has. So you do what he said. You work hard. You contribute to your 401k. You buy the house. You avoid the debt. You are patient. And 15 years later, you look at your account balance and you feel something you can't quite name. It's not anger. It's deeper than that. It's the slow, grinding realization that the system he taught you was designed to keep you comfortable, not to make you wealthy. That patient was code for permanent middle class. That the wealth you were promised was always just over the horizon, always another decade away, always requiring just a little more sacrifice before it arrives. But it never arrives. And now you're 42, or 47, or 53, and you can feel it. The narrowing. The sense that your best earning years are behind you, not ahead. The quiet panic that sets in when you calculate how many more years of this you have left and what you'll actually have to show for it. You've been told that your salary is your wealth-building engine, but the truth is, your salary is a trap. It pays your bills and keeps you too busy to build anything else. It gives you just enough comfort to never risk that comfort for something better. And the difference between those two beliefs, between seeing your salary as wealth versus seeing it as a cage, is worth approximately $2 million over the next 20 years. That's not a guess. That's the difference between a man who builds equity in other people's businesses and a man who spends 2 decades earning and consuming and wondering where it all went. So let's talk about what the silent partners know that you don't. The year is 2019. A man named David Chen, 41 years old, project manager at a mid-sized logistics company in Ohio, walks into a local auto repair shop. He's not there to get his car fixed. He's there because he heard something at a Chamber of Commerce meeting that he couldn't shake. The owner, a man named Marcus, was talking about expansion, second location, needed capital, didn't want a bank loan because the terms were predatory and the collateral requirements would choke his cash flow. Needed $50,000, had the customers, had the demand, had the track record, just needed the money. David had $50,000. It represented 8 years of careful saving, of driving used cars, of packing lunches, of saying no to vacations his coworkers took without thinking. It was his safety net, his just-in-case fund. The money that let him sleep at night, knowing that if the company laid him off tomorrow, his family would be okay for a while. And he was about to hand it to a man who fixed transmissions for a living. But David had spent the previous 6 months studying something most men his age never study. He had read every book he could find on private equity structures for small businesses. He had talked to 3 different attorneys about LLC operating agreements. He had joined online forums where silent partners shared deal structures and war stories. He had done the work. So when he sat down with Marcus, he didn't ask, "How can I help your business grow?" He asked something different. "What percentage of profits would you pay me, forever, in exchange for permanent equity in this expansion? Not a loan, not debt, equity. I put in $50,000. You use it to open the second location. I never touch the operations. I never hire or fire anyone. I never set foot in either shop unless I'm getting my own car fixed. But I own 20% of the new location's profits, quarterly, for as long as it operates. And if you ever sell, I get 20% of that sale price too." Marcus thought about it for 3 days. Then he said yes. Here's what happened next. The second location opened in 2020. It was profitable in month 7. By month 18, David was receiving quarterly distributions of $4,200. By year 3, that had grown to $7,800 per quarter. In year 4, Marcus opened a third location, and David's original 20% agreement extended to that location as well, because the operating agreement was written correctly. David never quit his job, never managed an employee, never learned how to fix a transmission. He just collected checks. And in the summer of 2024, when a regional chain approached Marcus about acquiring all 3 locations, David received a wire transfer for $340,000, his share of the sale. Total investment, $50,000. Total returned over 5 years, $412,000 in distributions, plus $340,000 in sale proceeds. $752,000 on a $50,000 investment, while keeping his job, while raising his kids, while doing exactly what he was already doing. That's the silent partner system. And it's not magic. It's not luck. It's structure. It's knowing how to identify the right business, approach the right owner, negotiate the right terms, and protect yourself legally while someone else does the work. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how to replicate it. But first, I need to show you the mistake that kills most first-time silent partners before they ever collect their first check. You've been told that investing in small businesses is inherently risky, that most small businesses fail and you'll lose everything. But the truth is, the businesses that fail are startups. Businesses with no track record, no proven customer base, no established cash flow.
The businesses that silent partners target are the opposite of that. And the difference between those two beliefs, between funding a startup and funding a proven operation, is the difference between gambling and investing. A business that has been operating profitably for 5 or more years has an 80% survival rate over the next 5 years. You are not funding a dream. You are funding a machine that is already running. You are simply adding fuel. The mistake most men make is approaching the wrong businesses. They get excited. They hear about a friend's restaurant or a cousin's gym, and they want to invest. They let personal connection override financial judgment. The silent partner system has no room for emotion in the selection process, only criteria. Here is the exact system. 5 steps, in order, no shortcuts.
Step 1. Identify the right business. You are looking for 4 things. First, minimum 3 years of profitable operation. Not break even, profitable. Second, an essential service category. These are businesses that survive recessions because people need them regardless of economic conditions. Plumbing, HVAC, pest control, waste management, landscaping, auto repair, child care, elder care, cleaning services. Third, a capital constraint that money solves. The owner cannot grow because he lacks cash, not because he lacks skill or demand. Fourth, an owner who is an operator, not a visionary. You want the man who is brilliant at running the business, not the man who is brilliant at pitching it. Where do you find these businesses? Your existing network, Chamber of Commerce events, local business associations, industry meetups in your target sector, business brokers who specialize in small business transactions. These are not hard to find. They are hiding in plain sight in every community in this country. What's rare is the man willing to walk through the door and have the conversation. Step 2. Qualify the financials. Before you say a word about money, you need to see 3 years of tax returns and profit and loss statements. Not projections, not forecasts, actual historical numbers. If the owner hesitates to show you these, walk away. A business owner who won't show a serious investor his financials is a business owner with something to hide. What you're looking for is consistent net profit margin of 15% or higher, stable or growing revenue year over year, clean books, meaning no unusual expenses, no owner loans buried in the accounts, no creative accounting, and working capital, meaning the business has enough cash on hand to operate without constantly borrowing. Step 3. Have the right conversation. Once you've verified the financials, you initiate the partnership conversation. Keep it simple, keep it direct. Men respect directness. I've looked at what you've built here. I'm impressed by the numbers. I have capital I'm looking to deploy into a business I understand and respect. I'm not looking to run anything. I'm a silent partner. I fund growth. You run the operation. We split the profits. Would you be open to a conversation about whether that structure could work for both of us? That is the entire pitch. No pressure, no lawyers in the room yet. Just one man asking another man a direct question about a mutual opportunity. Most capital-starved business owners will say yes to that conversation immediately because nobody has ever offered it to them in those terms before. Step 4. Structure the deal correctly. This is where you protect yourself and where most amateur investors get destroyed. You never invest without a proper operating agreement that spells out exactly what you get and exactly what you don't do. Your agreement must include your exact equity percentage. Your distribution schedule, quarterly, is standard. Your information rights, monthly financial statements without exception. Your voting rights, usually none on day-to-day decisions, limited rights on major decisions like selling the business. Your exit provisions. What happens if you want out? What happens if they want to buy you out? What happens if the business is sold? And your protections. Restrictions on owner compensation that could drain profits. Requirements for maintaining certain financial ratios,
Non-compete clauses that prevent the owner from starting a competing operation. You pay a qualified business attorney to draft this. $3,000 to $5,000 in legal fees is standard. That cost is part of your investment. Do not skip it. A bad agreement turns a good deal into a nightmare. A good agreement protects you when things go wrong, and at some point, something will go wrong. Your target return, 20 to 30% annual cash-on-cash, paid quarterly, plus equity appreciation if the business grows or sells. That sounds high. It is high, but it reflects the illiquidity of the investment and the real risk you are taking. You are not buying a treasury bond. You deserve a real return. Step 5. Be silent. Once the deal is structured and the capital is deployed, your job is to be silent. Not absent, silent. You receive your financial statements monthly. You attend quarterly review meetings. You ask questions about numbers, not about operations. You never tell the owner how to run his business. You never second-guess his decisions. You never show up unannounced. You let him do what he does best. You let the business compound. You collect your distributions, and you start looking for your next deal. Now let me tell you what you're really buying here. Not just returns, not just cash flow, something deeper. You're buying time.
Every man aged 35 to 54 is in a race he doesn't fully acknowledge. The race between his earning years and his wealth-building years. Between the energy he has left to work and the years he has left to live. Between the dreams he had for his family and the reality of his current trajectory. The salary trap steals that time. It keeps you on the treadmill, running faster every year, earning more but building less, because every raise gets consumed by lifestyle inflation, by kids getting older, by the ever-increasing cost of maintaining what you've already built. The silent partner system gives you time back. It turns your capital into an employee that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week without your presence, without your energy, without your diminishing reserves of professional ambition. It lets you build wealth while you sleep, while you work your day job, while you raise your kids, while you slowly, carefully plan your exit from the salary trap on your own terms, not in desperation, not in crisis, but in strength. That's the real return. The distributions are just the proof that it's working. I want to talk directly to you now. The man watching this. The man who's been waiting for someone to tell him the truth about where he is in life. You feel it, don't you? The sense that you're supposed to be further along by now. That the financial promises made to your generation were either lies or mistakes. That the path you followed, the education, the career, the house, the responsible choices, was supposed to lead somewhere better than this. You're not wrong. The path was broken. The system was designed for a different era, a different economy, a different kind of life. And you've been carrying the weight of that broken system's failure as if it were your own personal failure. It wasn't. But here's what is your responsibility. What you do now, today, with the years you have left, and the capital you've managed to save, and the intelligence you've proven by watching this video to the end. You can keep doing what you've been doing. Most men will. The comfort of the known, even when the known is slowly suffocating them, is a powerful drug. The salary will keep coming. The bills will keep getting paid. The decades will keep passing. And one day you'll look back and wonder why you never took the shot you knew you should have taken. Or you can start this week, not next month, not when the timing is perfect. This week. Here is exactly what you are going to do. Write down 3 business owners you already know personally, right now, before this video ends. 3 men running businesses that have been operating for at least 3 years. Businesses in essential services. Men you respect, men you would trust with a handshake. Next to each name, write down one specific growth constraint that capital could solve for them. A second vehicle, a new piece of equipment, an additional staff member, a second location. Then make one phone call this week, not to invest, not to negotiate, just to have a conversation.
I've been thinking about ways to put some capital to work in a business I respect. Would you be open to a conversation about what that could look like? That one conversation with the right operator at the right moment is the beginning of a completely different financial trajectory. Most men will not make that call. They will watch this video, feel the truth of it, and then go back to waiting for a better moment that never comes. The men who make the call, they become David Chen. So here is what I want you to remember from this.
You've been told that building wealth requires starting a business, risking everything, becoming an entrepreneur, and grinding through years of struggle before you see any return. But the truth is, the wealthiest men in every community became wealthy by funding the entrepreneurs, not by becoming them, by owning the profits without managing the problems, by being the capital behind the labor, not the labor behind the capital. And the difference between those two beliefs, between thinking you have to build the business versus understanding you can simply buy a piece of it, is worth your financial freedom, your time, your legacy, and your peace of mind. The silent partner system is not a shortcut. It requires learning, networking, legal protection, and the courage to deploy capital into real businesses run by real people with real risks. But it does not require quitting your job. It does not require becoming someone you're not. It does not require pretending to be 25 again. It requires something better. It requires you to think like a capitalist, not a laborer, to value ownership over income, to prioritize equity over effort, to become the man who funds the dream, collects the returns, and builds something that compounds long after his own working years have ended. The tweetable truth of everything you just heard is this: the wealthiest man in the room is rarely the one whose name is on the door. 3 names, 3 phone calls, 1 deal. That is how it starts. That man driving the unremarkable car past your house every morning, he started exactly where you are right now. The only difference between you and him is one conversation he had, and you haven't yet. Stay in the hub, because the empire is being built, and you are part of it. The door is open. Walk through it. The Wealth Code Hub.